Once again, good evening to all our valued, beloved brothers and sisters online who are listening and viewing this program. May the good Lord bless you, more particularly to all our Davidian brethren throughout the whole world, and most especially to our brethren in the United States of America. Now, let us now focus our attention to the statement in 2SR 164, he who fails to respond to the heavenly summons will be left without the seal of the living God or covering of God. Therefore, they must be cut off on the antitypical Day of Atonement. Now, we need to study closely, brothers and sisters, this prophecy. I would like to read to you the Great Controversy. Here in the Great Controversy 400, as we the statement here given by the voice of inspiration. The great controversy, let me see, 400, I think 431. The voice of inspiration says, brothers and sisters, that 431, let me read to you. The condition of the unbelieving Jew illustrates the condition of the careless and unbelieving among professed Christians who are willingly ignorant of the work of our merciful high priest. I can't even imagine this statement, are willingly ignorant. What does it mean to be willingly ignorant, brothers and sisters? It is really voluntarily chosen. It seems that they are really willing to be ignorant concerning the work of our high priest in the heavenly sanctuary. It says, brothers and sisters, in the typical service, when the high priest entered the most holy place, all Israel were required to gather about the sanctuary in the most solemn manner, humble their souls before God, that they might receive the pardon of their sins and not be cut off from the congregation. You see, brothers and sisters, the voice of inspiration are saying that God's people are required to gather about the sanctuary in the most solemn manner, humble their souls before God, that they might receive the pardon of their sins and not be cut off from the congregation. Then it says, how much more essential in this antitypical Day of Atonement that we understand the work of our high priest and know what duties are required of us. It's very important, brothers and sisters. And that is why in 1 TG, it says here, the shepherds are declared clearly in this reading, brothers and sisters. 1 TG number 51, it says, pages 5 and page 6, Abel's religion of 6,000 years ago has advanced and expanded to meet the people's necessities of today. This was done only by inspiration adding to it, and itself unfolding it. If the church is not commensurably growing and expanding, then how can she be a living church? How can she keep up with the signs of the times and with the progress of the sanctuary above? You see the progress of the sanctuary above, brothers and sisters. There is a statement in the vision of the prophet in Bible commentary, brothers and sisters. And I love so much this reading. It says here in 4 BC, page 1139, or from 1138 to 1139. Isaiah's experience represents last day church. That is last day church. And here in 4 BC 1139, it says, the vision given to Isaiah represents the condition of God's people in the last days. And then it says, they are privileged to see by faith the work that is going forward in the heavenly sanctuary. And hoping that we are that people, brothers and sisters. If we will not close our eyes, if we will not close our hearts, our minds, there is no reason that we will not obtain this promise because it is the living saints who have been given privilege to see by faith what is going on in the heavenly sanctuary. And that's why in Testimonies Volume 6, let me read to you the statement in page, this is the statement given by the Spirit of Prophecy, brothers and sisters, page 404. Do you realize the grand work of preparation that is going on in heaven and on earth? It seems that the statement is referring to the judgment that pertains to the living. Because only in the judgment that pertains to the living that both sanctuary are thus affected. You remember in track number 5, the voice of inspiration are here saying, let me read to you, track number 5, page 109. This is the statement given by the shepherd's rod. The investigative judgment of the dead consequently takes place in the heavenly temple only. Why? Because according to White House Recruiter, brothers and sisters, page 20, it is purely bookwork transaction. Purely bookwork transaction. And that is the main reason that it takes place in the heavenly sanctuary only. Now, let's read again the statement here in track number 5, brothers and sisters, page 109. The investigative judgment of the dead consequently takes place in the heavenly temple only, whereas the investigative judgment of the living takes place in the heavenly as well as in the earthly temple. Or in other words, in answer number 3, page 6, it says, both sanctuary are thus affected. Let me read to you here in answer number 3, page 6, it says, but when the judgment, and then open and close parenthesis, harvest. You see, brothers and sisters, the subject of the harvest and the judgment is pointing to the same thing. You remember the statement in track number 3, page 88, that the judgment is the harvest. Or the judgment is indeed the harvest. And we should not wait the time. According to TUSR 147, the time when we will utter these very disappointing words. The harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. If you will only open your understanding, brothers and sisters, that statement in Jeremiah 8, verse 20, the statement saying, the harvest is past, the summer is ended, is closely connected in the statement in TUSR, page 183, concerning the foolish virgins. The statement, the harvest is past, is the same to declare the 144,000 is already and completely sealed. And we are not sealed. That is the implication of that statement. Why? Because we fail to respond to the heavenly summons. Think it thoroughly. TUSR 164. He who fails to respond to the heavenly summons will be left without the seal of the living God. Therefore, it can be easily understood that in order to obtain the seal of the living God, you need to respond to the heavenly summons. And what is the very first act in responding to the heavenly summons? It says, you need to come to the sanctuary confess your sin, and secure your life. What sanctuary? That is the church, the triumphant church, the last church in the New Testament succession. The church by which, according to track number 3, page 47 and 48, the judicial activities from the heavenly sanctuary are extended to the earthly sanctuary, that church. My dear brothers and sisters, that's why I would like to re-emphasize again this statement in 2SR page 147. Hope that you will think thoroughly this statement, brothers and sisters, and ponder deeply. It says, will you, brother, will you, sister, adorn yourself with the righteousness of Christ? Or will you wait a little longer until after the harvest is past? Someone shall utter the following words in great disappointment. The harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. Jeremiah 8:20. Shall you or shall I? Hoping that it will not happen to you, as well as it will not happen to me. And the only way is to be receptive, to be susceptible of the revelation of present truth, brothers and sisters. I would like to read this statement in White House Recruiter. Let's read, brothers and sisters. White House Recruiter, pages 37 and page 38. It says, tragically, those who now fail to fill their vessels, Matthew 25, verses 1 to 4, with this extra oil, the additional truth, that of the judgment of the living, flowing from the golden bowl. You see, brothers and sisters? Flowing from the golden bowl. Zechariah 4. If you will only look at to the illustration in Zechariah chapter 4 with clearer insight, you can see, brothers and sisters, that there are 7 tubes, the channel by which the golden oil from the golden bowl is distributed to the 7 lamps of one candlestick. And that candlestick, in 2SR 284, that is the church at the commencement of the harvest. And that is the 8th church in the New Testament succession. According to answerer number 1, page 13, which is the house of David. Although we have a separate subject concerning the 8th church in the New Testament succession, and if you are interested to understand that message, we really invite you to listen continually in our daily program. Now here, brothers and sisters, it says, will finally, White House Recruiter, page 37, will finally see their lamps flicker out forever like a guttered candle. Oh, in what consternation consternation then will they search for the precious golden oil? And that is pertaining to the foolish virgins. You remember the statement in 2SR 183 that the foolish virgins only paying little attention to the message? Brothers and sisters, let us be God's real people, logical thinkers, not bait hunters. The foolish virgins in the days of Bethlehem were already lying unconscious in their graves, as well as in the days of Elijah White. That is why if you will read 2SR 181, the parable in Matthew 25 is directly applied to the judgment that pertains to the living. The days in which we are living in. Because there was no instances in the days of BT Hodep that there were people represented by the foolish virgins that they were looking for extra oil, brothers and sisters, but it is too late, and they openly declared, the harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. Because such occurrences will then be literally realized in the perfect fulfillment of the prophecy, and that is pointing to our days. And do not wait for that time that you will be among those people that will fulfill the prophecy. And that is why we are concerned among the media. We're preaching this message. We're sharing this message to you, my dear brothers and sisters. And here the statement, it says, and with what infinitely greater anxiety than they now search for gold and for prestige. But alas, then like Esau, though they seek it carefully with tears, they shall find no place of repentance. They purchase their oil too late. The door is closed when they reach it. That is in 2SR 184. The door that is closed is probation close to the church. And to their frantic knocking at it comes the terrifying reply, I never know you. Matthew 7 verse 23. Then is the harvest of the first fruits past. You see? The harvest of the first fruits is past. The harvest is past. The fruits garnered in, and the tares shut out unto destruction. There in agony, to wail and to gnash their teeth. The harvest is past. So they were memorizing that verse in agony, in agonizing, with tears, with bitter lamentation. They will be saying, the harvest is past. The summer is ended, and we are not saved. That is the focal point of our study, of our message, brothers and sisters, that we need to understand the message of the harvest, which is the judgment. Brothers and sisters, the message of the harvest, which is the judgment, by which the only way that you will know when the judgment begins, when the judgment of the living begins, when the harvest arrives, is through and by the message of the heavenly summons. And the foolish virgins failed to respond to the heavenly summons. But later on, they are eager to know it. But at the time when everything is too late, and at the time they arrive the door, what does it mean by they arrive the door? According to 2SR 183, they learned the message. At last, they learned the message. At last, they found out that the message that they rejected is in reality the very message to seal them. That is the present truth. And with bitter lamentation, they will gnash their teeth. And they will proclaim loud wailing in every direction, saying, the harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. So may the good Lord bless you, brothers and sisters, and hoping that God would help us this very important subject, the commencement of the judgment that pertains to the living, which is also called the beginning of the harvest. Because the harvest is a period of time having a beginning and ending, according to Answerer number 2, page 36. So see you again next time, and may the good Lord bless you and have a wonderful evening.
So once again, we're back. Thank you so much for waiting, and so we're just going to have a very short review of what we heard at Brother Ariel's um, message that was given, and this is already our episode 12 of our study about the harvest. Now, to begin with, let's go to 2SR page 164, Brother Sherwin.
Good morning to each and everyone, and um, my name is Sherwin. I am 11 years old, and for now, I would like to share to you what I've understand in our study. I got to you one passage, and I will explain what I've understand. Here in 2SR page 164, it says, "He who fails to respond to the heavenly summons will be left without the seal of the living God, and therefore must be cut off from among his people, as prefigured by the services in the typical Day of Atonement." So, this passage, brothers and sisters, of what I've understand, um, if we do not respond to the heavenly summons, um, we will we will do not accept or receive the seal of the living God, and we will be cut off from among His people or from among the congregation. That's why, brothers and sisters, we need to respond to the heavenly summons in order to receive and accept the seal of the living God. So that is my short understanding about this passage.
Right. Thank you so much for explaining that. And if you remember in our previous studies, that the word or the term cut off, if you remember last Sunday when we had this same subject, the harvest, that the term cut off there is not referring to the slaughtering, as what most of the Vidians know, that every time when we read the term cut off, immediately the thing that would come into our mind is slaughtering. But rather, the term cut off there, it is pointing to the day of reckoning, or the blotting out of names. So it's so simple as that. That as what Brother Sherwin explained, that in order to receive the seal of God, first thing is that we need to respond to the heavenly summons. And by responding to that heavenly summons, that would enable us that our names will not be blotted out in the heavenly sanctuary. Now, this is like a picture of, we already have some typical views, and according to the Bible, that the history or the things that happened in the past, they are to serve as an admonitions, as um, a type, that for those people that are living in the last days, we will have a view that we will not follow their footsteps. So, Sister Anna Marie, can you go with Great Controversy, page 430?
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Ed. In Great Controversy, page 431, it says there that the foundation of the unbelieving Jews um, illustrate the condition of the careless unbeliever among the professed Christians who are willingly ignorant of the work of our merciful high priest. Let us pause there, Brother Ed. The word willingly ignorant, meaning the professed people or the professed people, the unbelieving professed people, by which they are willingly ignorant, meaning they are not want to listen the uh, the message concerning the work in heavenly sanctuary. They choose not to listen, or meaning ignorant. They did not want to know what is the work in the heavenly sanctuary. That I think that is the meaning why they are willingly ignorant.
So I think, Sister Anna Marie, in the days of the Jews, there's the work of the high priest did not as yet begun, right? But the time came when when Christ was arose from the dead, and then when he went back to the heavenly sanctuary around somewhere on May 27, 31 AD, then there were some of the Jews that were still ignorant of what Christ was already doing, right? So the point here is that we must be aware of those attitude that were shown by these unbelieving Jews in the days of Jesus Christ.
Of that Jews, the Jews is also happen in our days. Is that correct?
I think even in our days, because there are some literal Jews who does not believe that Christ, that the Christ, that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, but rather he is just a prophet according to their belief. That even up to this time, they are still even celebrating the ceremonial services, and then um, still waiting for the coming Messiah. So even in our days, but still our focus is not really to the literal Israel, but to the spiritual Israel, who are the first one to face the judgment. So the point here is, is that the condition, right?
Yes.
We must not like the unbelieving Jews.
Okay, thank you.
So now let us go to Testimonies for the Church, Volume 6, page 404.
Let us read in 60 Testimonies to the Church, page 404. It says here, they realize the grand work of preparation that is going on in heaven and on earth. And According to my understanding in this passage, that in the days in Ellen G. White on her days in integrative sentence that there is a groundwork in heaven and earth, brothers and sisters.
So, meaning to say, Brother Egan, that when Sister Ellen G. White asked the people, or for example, when she wrote that writing by asking, "Do you realize the groundwork of preparation that is going on in heaven and earth?" So, meaning to say, he herself knows that there is really a grand work of preparation that is going on in heaven and earth. It may not happen yet on in her days, but she herself knows. She is aware of the fact, right? And in fact, it is not only Sister Ellen G. White who is aware of that point, but also Brother Hotef. How can we prove that? In the next quotations, we could, if we read, this has already been read earlier in track number 5, page 109, White House Recruiter, page 20, track number 5, page 109, that the investigative judgment of the dead, it takes place in the heavenly temple only, but the living, it takes place in the heavenly as well as on the earthly temple. So see, Ellen G. White knows that there is a judgment or work of preparation in heaven and earth, and Brother Hotef himself. But the difference is that Brother Hotef only um, specifically state that if the judgment is only pertains to the dead, only the heavenly temple is affected. But during the investigative judgment of the living, both sanctuaries are affected. That is why the critical part here is that during the living, because during the living, when the earthly temple is already affected, there are some people that are prophesied in Jeremiah 8:20 that they will memorize this verse. The harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. Now, the harvest is past mentioned here is pointing to the sealing of the 144,000. That at the time when they have the oil, they were already be able to accumulate the extra oil. But the point is that the sealing has already ended. So it's already too late and it is already out of value. Therefore, as what Brother Sherwin states earlier in 2SR page 164, that the first thing to do so that we would be able to safely, or we will be able to receive the seal of the living God, is by responding to the heavenly summons. And to respond to the heavenly summon, first we must come to the sanctuary, confess our sins, and secure our life. So what sanctuary do you think is the one being mentioned here? What sanctuary that we are to come, so that because that is the first thing to respond to the summons, come to the sanctuary. So what sanctuary is that? It is
It is the sanctuary on earth, Brother Ed.
what sanctuary on earth?
It is the Triumphant Church.
Yes, that sanctuary actually is the sanctuary for the living. The triumphant church, the house of David, the eighth church in the New Testament succession. Now, it was being explained earlier that 20, it is actually closely connected to the parable of Matthew 25. That the experience of the five foolish virgins will be similar to those people who are going to fulfill Jeremiah 8:20, that the harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. Now, could you please explain White House Recruiter pages 37 and 38, Brother Sherwin?
Um, in what in White House Recorder, page 37 and 38, it says, tragically, those who now fail to fill their vessels, Matthew 25, verse 1 up to 4, with this extra oil, the additional truth, that of the judgment of the living, flowing from the golden bowl, Zechariah 4, will finally see their lamps flicker out forever like a guttered candle. Oh, in what consternation then will they search for the precious golden oil? So, what I understand this passage, brothers and sisters, um, some people who do not um, put their put the message into their hearts, with that put this message, this additional truth into their hearts. Um, their understanding is their light had understand it became darkness because the present truth that God gave unto them they did not put into their heart. That's why they receive this verse. The harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved.
So thank you, Brother Sherwin, for explaining what House Recruiter page 37, 38, because you connected that to what the Bible says in Matthew 6, verses 23 to 24, that the light of the body is the eye, right? But what great darkness if that light becomes darkness? What a great darkness. Because you see, uh, the oil there, once you fill it into the lamp, it's going to light up, right? So that's the point about the turning of the light into darkness. And when Brother Hotep says that, what consternation then will they search for the precious golden oil? Meaning to say that um, they still have an allotted period of time by which they can search for the oil. But what is the point here? It is already too late. So the important thing is that, or the lesson of the parable itself, by which in actuality, because take note, the inspiration used the word tragically. So meaning to say, it is really a frightening experience, disappointing experience to, if we of ourselves individuals is going to the will be the one to fulfill Jeremiah 8:20, or the foolish virgins, right? So the key here is that, as what we've said earlier, to respond to the heavenly summons by first coming into the sanctuary, and then when we come into the sanctuary, when we're able to confess our sins, secure our lives, we need to fill our vessels with oil, or meaning to say, we need to understand the message on time. Because take note, the foolish virgins are those people, represented by those people who is paying little attention to the message, right? Um, or meaning to say, when the message is being taught, they only pay little attention to the message, or maybe much of their attention is more uh, more on some other useless things, right? Anything that is of this world that diverts their attention, the way for living, entertainment, and for anything else that diverts their attention. That is the attitude of the foolish virgins. But what happened at the time when the harvest is already past, when the sealing is over, according to the prophecy, because this is written in the shepherd's rod? Oh, in what consternation then will they search for the precious golden oil? So they will rush and they will immediately try to comprehend the message, but it is already too late. So the lesson here is that we need to understand the message. We need to respond to the summons and accumulate more oil as much as we could while the sealing is still ongoing and it's not yet ended. So I think that is all we can say about this. But the focal point of our study really is that we need to understand this message, the message about the harvest. And it has been read in the shepherd's rod earlier that the harvest is the judgment. We need to know when will it begin, right? When will it end? How are we going to respond to the summons given? How are we going to face the judgment before it's gonna be too late? So for this last quotation, I would like Brother Cyrus to read this one. and then explain anything he wants to explain. In White House Recruiter, page 38.
White House Recruiter, page 38. And with what infinitely greater anxiety than they now search for gold and for prestige, but alas, then, like Esau, though they seek it carefully and with theirs, they shall find no place of repentance. They purchase their oil too late. The door is closed when they reach it. And to their frantic knocking at it comes, and terrifying reply, I never knew you. Matthew 7, verse 23. Then is the harvest of the first fruits past, the fruits garnered in, and the tares shut out unto the destruction. Therein agony to wail and to gnash their teeth. The harvest is past, the summer's ended, and we are not saved. Jeremiah 8, verse 20.
So, what do you understand of what you read, Brother Cyrus? So, can you please explain? Alright, so maybe Brother Sherwin has an idea, and then we will get back to Brother Cyrus to explain.
Um, what I've understand these brothers and sisters, this is connected to the parable of the 10 virgins that when the bridegroom is coming, they immediately buy an oil because the bridegroom is coming, but it is too late. When they reach um, the door was shut, and there is terrifying reply according to this passage in White House Recruiter. It says that I never knew you. So this is the foolish virgins. They're trying their best, but it is too late. When they reached to the door was shut. It means that probation closed to the church. That is my understanding.
So, thank you, Brother Sherwin, for uh, connecting those points.
Ending of that statement is the harvest is past and we are not saved, meaning it's the same to say that the sealing of the 144,000 is over and the wicked are not sealed.
Yes, Sister Anna Marie. Thank you for adding or just for strengthening the points that we had. So, anyone else before we're go to our next episode? We're already in episode 13 of the study about the harvest. Anything else?
You know, the harvest, brothers and sisters, has a beginning and has also an ending. And in this subject, we we try our best, or we want we should know when will be the beginning of the harvest, and when will be also the ending of the harvest.
Yeah, thank you, Sister Anna Marie. So now, if there's no more other points that you want to share about this episode, then we will go to the next um the next episode. Thank you so much all for listening. And once again, we will be right back. The time check, it is now 9:44 a.m. in here in the Philippines of the February 26, 2017. And thank you for tuning in to the Layman's Movement or the LM Radio channel. And we will be right back in a few.
Evidence, leaving nothing to check. The world's in your head. Assurance in your promises. Now I am sure of theirs. I'm yours. Let the waters rise. I will stand as the oceans roar. Let the earth shake beneath me. Let the mountains fall. You are God over the storm, and I am yours. I hear the voice of love calling me home to where I belong. It cripples every fear, and the ones who will leave will walk away here. So I rest in your promises. Now I am sure of this. I'm yours. No power strong enough to separate me from your love. I'm yours. So let the waters rise. I will stand as the oceans roar. Let the earth shake beneath me. Let the mountains fall. You are God over the storm, and I am yours. Even the thunder and the wind obey at the command of my Father. Father, I set my feet upon your mighty name. So let the rain fall harder, harder. So take my everything, my flesh and blood. I'm inside of the altar, altar. I am forever covered in your love. So let the rain fall. Let the waters rise. I will stand as the oceans roar. Let the earth shake beneath me. Let the mountains fall. You are God over the storm, and I am yours. Let the waters rise. I will stand as the oceans roar. Let the earth shake beneath me. Let the mountains fall. You are God over the storm, and I am yours. You are God over the storm, and I am yours. Sometimes I'm saddened by the choices I made. So many tears
I have cried. Got what I wanted, but the dreams seem to fade. Still feeling unsatisfied. But you saved me, forgave me how you've shown. You'd never leave me all alone. Oh Lord, every time I lose my place, the beauty of your grace shines a light so I can see. Every time I lose my way, you make it all okay. I feel your love surrounding me. You are here, calming my fears. You lead me back with your sweet song. You're where I belong. You're always there to guide me through my mistakes. You've never once left my side. The way you pick me up each time my heart breaks. The way you always stood by. I feel you'd move right through my heart. We never really were apart. Oh Lord, every time I lose my place, the beauty of your grace shines a light so I can see. Every time I lose my way, you make it all okay. I feel your love surrounding me. You are here, calming my fears. You lead me back with your sweet song. You're where I belong. I will always put my faith in you, 'cause I know you understand. I will try my best to follow you, 'cause I know you've got a plan. Just to have you in my life is far more than enough. You are everywhere around me now. I can feel your precious love. I'm constantly amazed. I feel so safe inside. It's the way you lift me up. You are here, calming my fears. You lead me back with your sweet song. You're where I belong.
Hello world and welcome to LM Radio. We've got loads of precious truths from the Bible, news, current events, and a lot more. So keep on tuning in and be blessed. This is brought to you by the Mediators. Come and visit us in www.laymansmovement.com.
Once again, good evening to all our beloved brothers and sisters online, more particularly to all our Davidian brethren throughout the whole world, most especially in the United States of America. Now, let us continue to our subject concerning the investigative judgment that pertains to the living. And it is also called the harvest for the living. Here, let me read to you in 2TG, number 11. Here the shepherd's rod says here, brothers and sisters, page 12 and page 13, or 2TG number 11, pages 12 and page 13. Now, what is the difference between the oil in the lamp and the oil in the vessel? Just this: the oil that is in the lamp that already lightens the traveler's path toward the master's mansion must represent truth in progress. But the oil in the vessels must represent truth that is to lighten one's path after the former truth has accomplished its work. For example, after the harvest, investigative judgment. So here we see that the harvest is called investigative judgment. After the harvest, meaning investigative judgment of the dead is past, other truths even more important must be introduced for the harvest of the living. I say more important truths because they are concerning the living themselves, concerning those whose own cases are to be weighed in the balances, those who personally are to be judged either as wheat or as tares, either as good fish or as bad fish. And I do fully believe, brothers and sisters, that they are the people mentioned in 2SR number 12. Let me read to you this reading. 2SR number, 2TG rather, I'm sorry. 2TG number 12, page 30. It says, whereas the last two seals, which contain the things that pertains to the judgment of the living, to the people who must know that their cases are on trial. Who are they, the people that they need to know that their cases are on trial? They must be the people who are candidates for translation. I say candidates because, sad to say, there are people by which, accordingly to our reading in 2SR 164, they fail to respond to the heavenly summons. Although they were already candidates to be a part of the saints, brothers and sisters, that shall be translated to heaven without seeing that. But their rejection of present truth, brothers and sisters, will decide their case. And that is why, if you still remember the statement in track number 15, let me read to you. Going back again to that reading. Track number 15, page 19. This is the statement given by the voice of inspiration. It says, that the judgment is nothing more or less than the separation of the tares from the wheat, both among the dead and among the living. That it is the interviewing of all the guests with an eye single to determine who have and who have not the wedding garment. On the very thing that decides who is to be left and who is to be taken into destruction as the earth flees away. You see, brothers and sisters, the investigative judgment, it is illustrated in the parable in Matthew 22, verse 11 to verse 13, interviewing the guests. And when the king came in, he found someone who had not the wedding garment. Therefore, brothers and sisters, we need to be very certain that we have the wedding garment. And remember the statement in 2SR 164, it says, he who fails to respond to the heavenly summons will be left without the seal or covering of God. And that covering of God is represented by the wedding garment, the robe of Christ's righteousness, my dear brothers and sisters. And since we have no wedding garment, then we'll be cut off on the antitypical Day of Atonement. And to repeat again, that cutting off is not slaughtering. It is pertaining to the blotting out of names on the Lamb's Book of Life. According to answer number 5, page 30, the first aspect of the judgment is bookwork. So, it is familiar among the media that in October 22, 1844, that is the bookwork which pertains to the judgment of the dead. But to have a clear conception such judicial proceedings, let me read to you, brothers and sisters, track number 5, and I would like to read this reading in track number 5. It says here, 109. Now, let me read to you this reading in track number 5, page 109. The investigative judgment of the dead consequently takes place in the heavenly temple only. Why? Because according to White House Recruiter, page 20, it is purely bookwork transaction, showing that when the cases of those who are destined for grave and resurrection are on trial, they were lying unconscious in their graves, according to Answerer number 3, page 6. And that is the main reason why is it that God did not send any heavenly summons to them, because at the time when their case will be on trial, they knew nothing. They were lying unconscious in their graves, according to Answerer number 3, page 6. To repeat again, the statement in 2TG number 12, page 30, saying to the people who must know that their cases are on trial, they are the candidates to be among the living saints, my dear brothers and sisters. And they are required to know when would be their judicial proceedings. And that is why, to repeat again, the statement in 2TG number 11, I would like to repeat again the statement, 2TG number 11, page 13, the voice of inspiration says, I say more important truths because they are concerning the living themselves. So it is concerning the living themselves, concerning those whose own cases are to be weighed in the balances. So they are the people that they need to know their cases are being weighed in the balances in the heavenly sanctuary. And we already read in White House Recruiter, pages 31 and 32, that Satan is determined to keep God's people in ignorance of timely truth. And what more damaging darkness is that to the things by which God wants them to know. What God wants them to know? God wants them to know that their cases are soon on trial. And God sent them heavenly summons to let them know that their cases are soon to be on trial. But the fact is, there are many people who do not respond to the heavenly summons. Therefore, they cannot stand when their cases will be on trial, according to track number 3, page 54. For when a person's judgment is pending and he is unaware of the fact, brothers and sisters, he cannot be able to stand. The people that they're willing to be ignorant. Brothers and sisters, it's high time now, brothers and sisters, to humble ourselves, to come before God, and we need to study closely this very important subject, my dear brothers and sisters. It is very important because without this, brothers and sisters, you cannot be able to stand when your cases will be on trial. Remember, in an Adventist report, activities, in page 15, says that the God of heaven will not begin the judgment that pertains to the living without sending first the summons. And that summons, since it is emanates from the most holy place, from God the Father, the judge in the heavenly sanctuary, the voice of inspiration called it in 2SR 164 as the heavenly summons. And summons, brothers and sisters, it's point out to the statement in 2SR page 164. Unless the close of the judgment of the dead and the commencement for the living be made known to us, we would have no present truth, while the judgment of the living is in session. But the absolute fact is that, brothers and sisters, if you will go back to 2SR page 202, saying as there are 7 consecutive order of seals, as the 6 seals is pertain to the saints who are destined for grave and resurrection, but the 7th seal must concern the living. The 7th sealing period must concern the living, according to the voice of inspiration. And it says in 2SR 215, as there are 6, as the 6 seals are sealing period, therefore the 7th seal must also sealing period. Otherwise, it cannot be called 7th seal. And the voice of inspiration says that all the saints of God are present truth in all ages, and whatever that present truth is, that is the seal. Page 20. That is why the statement that when our high priest, 2SR 164, that when our high priest shall begin the atonement for the living, there must be a message of present truth that God, the high priest Jesus Christ, cannot begin the atonement. Atonement is in. That is blotting out of names, as the Bible says, because 16, verse 16, and also the statement, brothers and sisters, in the great controversy, 418 and 419, there must be an atonement for both apartments. The atonement in the most holy place, if you will to us, our 187, that is the blotting out of sins. But according to the great controversy, 421, before Jesus Christ will enter to the most holy place to blot out the sins of the righteous, there must be a complete examination first concerning the book, the Lamb's book of life, and all the names who are unworthy need to be erased, need to be blotted out. And that is called the day of reckoning, according to track number 3, page 8. The day of reckoning, brothers and sisters, which is the blotting out of names. And this reading shows in track number 5 that there are 3 of saints to pass under the investigation in the holy place. And that is the blotting out of names. Let me read to you. Track number 5, page 109. It says, investigative judgment dead takes place in the heavenly temple only, whereas the investigative judgment of the living takes place in the heavenly as well as in the earthly. While the records are being made up for the books in the heavenly, the people are being investigated for the separation in the earthly. Matthew 22, verse 11 to 13. See Malachi 3, verses 1 to 3. And as the measuring is figurative of the same work, then it leads to the conclusion that the temple, the altar, and them that worship therein must figuratively represent the 3 classes to be judged. There are only 3 classes to be judged. The holy place. What judgment? Blotting out of names. And what are those 3 classes? The temple, the altar. Now let us read to the next paragraph. The temple and the altar, inanimate objects, must characterize two classes of inanimate saints, the two classes of dead saints. An altar, moreover, obviously cannot be installed in a temple before the temple is built. And furthermore, in size, it is comparatively much smaller than a temple. Naturally, then, it must symbolize a class of saints which not only comes after those who are characterized by the temple, but which also is proportionately much smaller. Thus, the temple, the first and the largest object, must represent the first and largest body of righteous dead from Adam's time to the beginning of the judgment in 1844. And therefore, there must be the saints who died on the first 5 seals. Are the saints who will die or died, because there are only 6 seals that pertains to the saints who are destined for grave and resurrection. But the first 6 seals is divided into 2 classes, temple and altar. The first 5 seals and the first 5 seals, which is represented by the temple, they are the first group of people that were in judicial proceedings. And in 1833 to 1843, that is the antitypical, brothers and sisters, the Feast of Trumpet, which 10 days equivalent to 10 years, the message proclaimed by William Miller. Although we have a different subject concerning trumpets, but from 1833 to 1843, that is the period of time, the blotting out of names of the first group of saints, the temple. According to the great controversy 421, that before Christ will enter to the most holy place for the blotting out of sins, the first group of saints, all the unworthy names will be blotted out, and they were represented by the foolish virgins who have no wedding garment. And that is why in 2TG 42, page 31, the foolish virgins had not been able to enter to the next door, and that is the most holy place. Because the only names to be brought into God the Father, according to 2SR 184, are those saints or those names which have the permit, and their permit is the seal of the living God, and God will not seal the wicked. And that's why here, let me read to you. In 199, in 2SR, let us read the statement here. 2SR 199. It says, the light and truth which they have kept, the 7 lamps, the reward which is to be granted to those who are judged, sea of glass, and the book containing the names of all the righteous, beginning with Adam and on to the close of provision. This is the Lamb's Book of Life sealed with 7 seals. Because the Lamb's Book of Life, not sealed with 7 seals, it is a mixed multitude. And the only book that Jesus Christ will bring to God the Father in the most holy place is the Lamb's Book of Life, sealed with 7 seals. And the only names to be written in that book are the righteous. The names of the wicked will never be inscribed into that book, brothers and sisters. Although, to repeat again, the Lamb's Book of Life, not sealed with 7 seals, B.T. Hotep called it as mixed multitude. In tract number 3, page 9. So we will continue this subject, brothers and sisters, and hope that God would bless you, and God will open your understanding, and God would help us to comprehend this very important subject concerning the occurrences in the heavenly sanctuary as well as on the earthly sanctuary. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. Once again, good evening to all our beloved brothers and sisters online, more particularly to all our Davidian brethren throughout the whole world, most especially in the United States of America. Now, let us continue to our subject concerning the investigative judgment that pertains to the living. And it is also called the harvest for the living. Here, let me read to you in 2TG. Number 11. Here the shepherd's rod says here, brothers and sisters, page 12 and page 13, or 2TG number 11, pages 12 and page 13. Now, what is the difference between the oil in the lamp and the oil in the vessel? Just this, the oil that is in the lamp that already lightens the traveler's path toward the master's mansion must represent truth in progress. But the oil in the vessels must represent truth that is to lighten one's path after the former truth has accomplished its work. For example, after the harvest, investigative judgment. So here we see that the harvest is called investigative judgment. After the harvest, meaning investigative judgment of the dead is past, other truths even more important must be introduced for the harvest of the living. I say more important truths because they are concerning the living themselves, concerning those whose own cases are to be weighed in the balances, those are to be judged either as wheat or as tails, either as good fish or as bad fish. And I do fully believe, brothers and sisters, that they are the people mentioned in 2SR number 12. Let me read to you this reading. 2SR number, 2TG rather, I'm sorry. 2TG number 12, page 30. It says, whereas the last two seals, which contain the things that pertains to the judgment of the living, to the people who must know that their cases are on trial. Who are they, the people that they need to know that their cases are on trial? They must be the people who are candidates for.
Hello, world, and welcome to Ellen Radio. We've got loads of precious truths from the Bible, news, current events, and a lot more. So keep on tuning in and be blessed. This is brought to you by the Mediators. Come and visit us in www.laymansmovement.com.
All right, we're back, and this will be the last episode of our study, episode 13. And now let's give the time for Brother Cyrus to say anything he wants to say about this study.
I will read in 2 164 that when our high priest shall begin the atonement for the living, there must be a message of present truth. And I will explain my understanding. So the high priest, Jesus Christ, cannot begin the atonement, and the atonement is in the most holy place. That is the blotting out of names. Holy place.
So the atonement, Brother Sarah, is not in the most holy place. But although there is an atonement in the most holy place, but that atonement in the most holy place is the blotting out for the sins But in the holy place, it is the blotting out of the names. Of course, the names that are to be blotted out in the holy place are the names of the wicked, and then in the most holy place are the names of the righteous. So, Brother Sherwin,
Um, I will read to you here in what was Recorder, page 31. It says, "Let us not, however, forget that there is an enemy who is to determine to keep God's people in darkness, in ignorance of timely truth. And judging darkness, could he seek to keep them in then in ignorance of that which God would have them to know while their judgment is pending." So what I've understand, brothers and sisters, this passage that do not forget, brothers and sisters, that there is an enemy who is to determine to keep God's people in darkness, in ignorance of timely truth. But according to track number 354, brothers and sisters, if we do not respond to heavenly summons, we will left without the seal of the living God, or we will cut off from among the congregation. So that is why we need to respond to the heavenly summons in order for us that we cannot deceive the enemy, brothers and sisters, because there are some people who have understand the message, but they do not respond to the heavenly summons. They deceive to the enemy that is to keep God's people in darkness, in ignorance of timely truth. So that's why, brothers and sisters, we need to respond to the heavenly summons in order for us that we receive the seal of the living God. And that's all I can say.
so thank you so much, Brother Sherwin. That what he's trying to say, Star Anamari, is that uh, those people who were deceived by the devil, by which the devil is succeeding, at the time when they really discern in their inmost souls that they understand the message actually, but they just don't like to respond to the heavenly summons. Maybe because the one who gave the summons, the messenger, or let us say the seven tubes, they don't like because of, and for some reason, maybe it's not according to their liking. So that's one of the thing that the enemy is succeeding. So thank you for that explanation. And how about you, Sir Anna Marie?
In addition, Brother Ed, brothers and sisters, the timely truth mentioned in that reading in White House Recruiter page 31 and 32, that is the which is dangerous, very most dangerous and more damaging is the final outpouring of the present truth. And we all know that the present truth mentioned there is the present truth under the seventh seal. And according to one answer, page 90. And this present truth under the seventh seal is concerned to the living. And we all know that in according to one is our page 28, that the from creation from creation up to this present time, um, there is a new revelation of truth, and the truth is the present truth. So in one is page 28, that the seal of God is the sealing period, and whatever the present truth is, that is the seal. And into is page 215, as the sixth seal is the sealing period, then the seventh seal is also the sealing period. But uh, the according to the facts, brothers and sisters, the seventh seal is concerned to the living saints, or pertains to the living saints.
Thank you for the explanation of Sister Anna Marie, and I would like to read in track number 5, page 109. It says here, the investigative judgment of the dead consequently takes place in the heavenly temple only, whereas the investigative judgment of the living takes place in the heavenly as well as in the earthly temple. While the records are being made up for the books in the heavenly, the people are being investigated for the separation in the earthly. Matthew chapter 22, verse 11 to 13. And see Malachi 3, chapter 3, verse 1 to 3. And as the measuring is figurative of the same work, then it leads to conclusion that the temple, the altar, and them that worship therein must figuratively represent the three classes to be judged. And as well, I understand this passage that there are three classes saints that to be judged, namely first the temple, and second the altar, and the third is the worshippers. And we all know that the temple is the first five seals, and from Adam to the 1844, and the altar is um uh you all know that altar are they are the saint, the last saint who will die um or died under the sixth seal. And there are two first six seals are divided into classes, namely the temple and the altar. And this I could understand this passage.
But you said earlier, Brother Egan, that there are three classes to be judged, but you only state two. So what is the third one?
The third is the worshippers. Is represent the 144,000.
All right, thank you. And uh, so the three classes of people that to be judged, but it doesn't mean that those temple outside the court they will not be judged, right? They will be judged also, but they were not included in these three classes because the court outside the temple they will be judged only in the most holy place. But these three classes of people, they will be judged in the holy place, by which these the records of these saints, I mean these people in their generation, their names were recorded in the Lamb's Book of Life, not sealed with seven seals, by which there are some people who cannot be able to pass the judgment. And then Brother Hotef used the term mixed multitude. That is why it needs first to those people that are living in the generation of the temple and the generation of the altar and the worshippers, they need to pass first the investigative judgment. Although the temple itself, the altar itself, the worshippers, they are all saints, right? But during the time in their generation when they were still living, there are some who profess to um, accept the truth but did not receive the seal. So we need to mark this point with care that this temple altar, there are a group of dead saints, and since they are saints, they are the ones whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life sealed with seven seals. And then also the worshippers, that their cases at the time when the atonement will begin in the most holy place, their sins are already bound to be blotted out. And according to the study, we have that in 1833 to 1843, that was the antitypical Feast of Trumpets, which the typical Feast of Trumpets was 10 days, but it is equivalent to 10 years. It was the blotting out of the names, but only for the temple, to those who lived from from the days of Adam to 1844. And by next time we are going to deal with the rest of the cases, and especially to the living, because Brother Hotep says that the truth about the living, it's more important because it's going to deal with the living themselves. And that is where the enemy Satan is trying to exert all his effort to put them in darkness, so that they will be unaware and will not be able to face the judgment. And I think that is all. And is there any last words we're going to say before we're going to close this radio program? Brother Ige, say goodbye to our listeners at this time only.
Um, once, and thank you for the listening for our, in this study, and I hope you will get understanding to our study, the harvest, and I hope you will continue tune in. And this is all I can say.
Thank you, everyone, for listening in our LM radio. I hope that you understand our broadcasting. I thank you.
Thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening in our daily broadcasting and in our short review. And hope you will enjoy listening and stay tuned in every Sunday. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brothers and sisters, for listening our radio program. We invite you every Sunday morning to listen our program. And if you have questions concerning our subject, we humbly accept it. Just send your questions and the website or in so that is, and may the good Lord bless you.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and this is the Mediators, brought to you by the LM Radio channel, and see you next time.
Hello, world, and welcome to LM Radio. We've got loads of precious truths from the Bible, news, current events, and a lot more. So keep on tuning in and be blessed. This is brought to you by the Mediators. Come and visit us in www.laymansmovement.com.
Hi, how are you? I wish you good health, brothers and sisters, and I would like to invite you all to listen to our daily programs here at the LM Radio. I am Sister Glad, and I'll be joining with you every Thursday morning from 8 to 12 noon, along with my comrades, Sister July, Sister Arlene, with a live study conducted by Brother Ariel Dakotan. Thank you so much, and I will see you. The outburst of the World War II between 1939 to 1945. It involved the vast majority of the world's nations, including all the great powers, eventually forming two opposing military alliances, the Allies and the Axis. The hot war never completely ceased, and the Cold War was soon out. Everyone knows that the war is not settled, and that peace has not come, that the war may break out red hot any day. Anyone can see that the world is fast getting ready to resume the war with a mightier and final blow if possible.
Peace out. Peace out.